Merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made. Spaceballs the t-shirt, Spaceballs the coloring book, Spaceballs the lunchbox, Spaceballs the breakfast cereal, Spaceballs the flamethrower. The kids love this one. Last but not least, Spaceballs the doll, me.
May the Schwartz be with you.
Adorable.
This episode of the Council of the First Ones was recorded on July 10th, 2021.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Council of the First Ones. I'm Kelly. Joining me today is Dave from adultcollector.org. Hi, Dave.
Hey, Kelly. Hey, Sean. I'm calling you from Eternia. Hello. And I think we're all in kind of PowerCon mode right now with all the news about Revelation, all the toys, all the merchandise. I think this is just a fantastic summer.
Oh my God. I feel like I'm 10 years old again. Having so much fun and going to a comic book store. Actually, I had to go to 4 to get all six variant covers.
Wow, six variants. My goodness.
But I got them all.
It's awesome.
I haven't done that in a long time.
Yeah, boy. I kind of wish you would get all the variant covers when you order it online. You know, like I have the digital copy and I just get the regular cover.
Yeah, the digital, I believe, does have also the variant covers towards the back normally.
Oh, it does? I didn't notice. And maybe they would have them in the, when they come out with the trade paperback, the collection of them.
Yeah, I wound up going to Kevin Smith's comic book shop in Red Bank to get the last 2.
Oh, really? Nice.
Yeah.
What's that called? I think I heard
Jay and Silent Bob's Secret Stash.
Oh, nice.
I mean, comic book stores are a dying breed. So many closed with the COVID.
Yeah.
I wound up going on a field trip throughout New Jersey to get them all.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I was just noticing today, I drove by a comic book shop I like to go to, and it was all empty. It was all gone.
Yeah. I mean, I love the digital comic books so we can zoom in, especially as we get older. But I still feel I have to support the local comic book stores because without them, where would the geek community be?
Sure.
And not all of the comic books are available at Barnes and Noble. Who would think of going there for comic books and toys?
Not me.
But that's a big section, at least at the Barnes and Nobles by me. It's like a third of the store.
Well, how did you enjoy the comic? And Sean, did you get a chance to read it?
Yeah, I got mine on Wednesday, and I read it through twice so far. I was really surprised how much I enjoyed it.
Same with me.
Yeah, I thought it was a really nice introduction to the series. It's going to be like a mini series, not a long-standing one, of course. And I really enjoyed the tie-in with Scareglow, and that's an interesting take on King Grayskull that is getting a lot of discussion, of course, on social media.
Mm-hmm.
But you know what? I don't mind, because even as humans, we weren't all the same from the beginning. So that's just showing evolution in its natural state.
Well, for me, I know David and I were talking about this a little bit before we started recording. For me, it's like 2000X to me is its own thing. It gave us a beginning with Adam getting the power sword. It went into the history of the King Grayskull and the Castle Grayskull, and how the sword is the power source for Adam and all that stuff. And it's like, that to me is kind of locked in its own thing, because it took nods from Filmation, but it really did its best to go, this is its own new reboot of the franchise. And considering Kevin Smith and everyone else associated with Revelation has been saying this is supposed to be a continuation, which to me, I still say it's in spirit. It wouldn't be, this is directly the next episode. The way he said that, I'm like, you
in the beginning he was saying that, but lately
yes.
he's been going with the spiritual. I'm wondering if legal stepped in on that.
Well, and I always say, when you're in a room with a whole bunch of fans that are that hungry for this, you're going to say something to make them excited about it. And that obviously did the trick. But the thing is, with it being a spiritual successor versus it being a continuation, I look at this as, this Grayskull is the Filmation version, if the Filmation had their version then. You know, like, I don't look at this as King Grayskull in 2000X has to be white in the Revelation. It could be, he could be whoever they want him to be, and just make his own character. And that's the way I've taken it, and that's, I don't care if anybody thinks I'm wrong for it. It's like, you know what? In my head canon, that makes me happy. That's good.
See,
I'm happy.
in my canon, after reading the Bibles both for 2000X and the Filmation, I actually think Mike Young Productions, at least season 1, that's the beginning, because he's 16. Filmation actually does say that Adam is 18 when the show starts. So I actually put that between season 1 and season 2 of Mike Young. Because we just get the introduction of the Snake Men really at the end of Filmation anyway, with Cobra Khan.
Yeah.
And Hordak. So it seems like it's season 1 of Mike Young, then the Filmation season 2 of Mike Young, then Revelation.
I just see them as separate stories. You know, of course, they were produced at different times by different people, and you know, it's just a different telling of a telling of a new story. You know, rather than an attempt to fit the story into a consistent canon, like if they were to make a new Star Wars movie, they would want to be careful to make sure all the facts fit, the timeline fits, and all that. I see
exactly.
This is something else. It's just like, oh, here's a new story about He-Man.
Yeah, and based on that first issue, he's not the same character from 2000X anyway. You know, there's definitely something that there. I mean, he has kids this time around. He didn't have kids in 2000X. He actually has to get the ore to make the dark side of the power sword. It's like, that wasn't even brought up in 2000X. He just had the power sword and all. And I'm sorry for anybody who does like that version of King Grayskull, which I was never. I was very much like 50-50 on it. It's like, I like the concept more than I like the execution on that show for 2000X. I like it better that he had to seek out the power in this, instead of it being he goes on his little quest, and at the end, the power was in you all the time. Just like, oh, the power to go back to Kansas was in you all the time, Dorothy. Just click your heel. It's like, when they hit that in that episode, I literally was rolling my eyes going, you had me until you did that. And now I'm like, that is just, no. Like, they could have at least made it that he had to go on a journey to either collect something and bring it back in order to forge the sword, like kind of what they did here, or doing it where he had to find a power source of something. And, oh, it was in you all along. That was, I kind of put my head in my hands watching that episode when they did that the first time I saw it.
I loved it because it was so Orko.
Yeah,
and
I'll
the
give you
reaction
that.
from Grayskull was just like, okay.
Yeah. Oh man.
He didn't really have much of any reaction. He's just okay, I gotta get the sword. Gotta do this. All right.
Oh man.
Oh.
And I loved one of my favorite moments in it actually was that exchange between King Hiss and him though. And I love that where he's like, I've got your son, I'll have your wife, I'll have your kingdom. What do you have? I have the power. I was like, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, how do you answer that question? Guess what?
It was a really fun book, and it's interesting how they explain the sword needing to be split. Two different swords, and you have to basically stab the monster in two different time periods in order to hurt him.
Mm-hmm.
And I imagine it's going to be a different explanation in the animated series as to why the swords are split, which it'll be interesting to see, because I kind of doubt that they're in the actual animated series. They're going to talk about this. What's his name? The
Orlax.
Orlax guy. Yeah.
But it does say it is the prequel.
Yeah.
So it might be where it's saying we have to split it again because this event is occurring, similar to what we dealt with in the comics.
And the sad thing is we won't know because the comic's ending way, way, way after the show ends. At least the first 5 parts end.
Right. And who knows if they're splitting the sword in the first 5 parts or not. It might be splitting at part 5 or the second half.
So the story the story trailer video that we saw on the 4th of July weekend was for the first 5 episodes. And so we know for sure now that the sword will be split within those first 5 episodes, because that's exactly what we saw in the trailer.
Yeah, I'd say it's going to probably be towards the 5th episode, figuring they have to reintroduce. And he even said the first 10 minutes will feel like we're watching the old series. So it's the same characters too.
Well, and I'm sorry, there's that extended trailer that was leaked, and that actually showed us quite a bit of what's going to happen in the first, I would think, the first kind of moments of the show. It should be very interesting. We've seen so much content now, but it's all still clips. It's not really anything that we can definitively say, okay, this is definitely we can't really nail down what the flow, the sequence of events is going to be in the show.
True.
Well, the nice thing about the comic for me, going back to that really quick to kind of bridge into the trailer, I think, is for Kevin Smith to be saying, like the spiritual successor to Filmation. That story in the first issue would have been like a 2-part episode if Filmation had done it. If you look at the way the story is, it actually is kind of like the episode where Duncan turns into Crystal and then they have to go to Dark Smoke to save him and everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
There's that element of that to it with, Randor's life's on the line. He-Man has to go through the cosmic portal and all that. I kind of dig that. It made me go, these guys actually are making me feel like I'm getting to see like an updated version of what Filmation would have done, but it still has that feeling of the spirit of Filmation was very much like the underpinnings of that story. And it made me just go like, wow, like it feels legit. And the other thing I appreciated as well, and I know there were people out there who were worried about the syntax of the people when they talk. They really felt like what we watched as kids with their wording, and even in the new She-Ra, the Netflix show, it was Mom, and all that kind of stuff when they would yell at each other, like Angela and Glimmer and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And in here they have a nice little flashback of Randor teaching Adam how to use a sword. And he's calling him Your Highness. He's like, no, it's Father. And I like that they had that to establish, we're not changing this up from what you're used to. He's Father, and only in court am I Your Highness, and all that. I like that little moment, and I like the moments between him and Adam, like choosing a crown and all that stuff. And then I did like at the end, he's like, would you pick a damn crown so you can get to the damn ball so we can get some damn wine? And I was like, that sounds like me with my kids.
It was
so
beer, I believe it said.
I just like that. I really enjoyed the fact that Randor has a patience, but then the patience gets tested. Like, dude, I just want to freaking drink a wine because I've been doing this with you all day. Would you pick something, So I did enjoy that from a father perspective.
And the scene between him and Queen Marlena was really touching.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So it's got a lot of heart. Even like literally, there's one page, but it has so much heart in that one page.
Right.
It makes you go like, man, this is some good stuff here.
I've been thinking more and more about the comic series and the animated series, and we don't know what's going to happen in the later 5 episodes. I even wonder how finished those later 5 episodes are. Like, are they going back to the drawing board and I mean, we don't know what's happening right now in that production.
On one of the more recent episodes of Fat Man Beyond, it was after, I want to say it was after the teaser trailer hit. Kevin Smith said that he was listening to music Bear McCreary was doing for episode 7.
Right.
So they're at least in those stages for those episodes, because those are coming out supposedly in January. From at least that's the rumblings I've heard. So they got to be getting close to to getting to that level, because otherwise, I don't want to wait until next summer. Like, don't start this at 5 episodes and then wait till July or whatever. It's like
January would be quite a wait.
It's true, but at least we'll have those 5 episodes finally.
I'd say we're going to get a set date during PowerCon when they'll drop.
I think so. Yeah. Well, and I would hope that when the first 5 episodes drop at that time, hopefully we'll get some indication of when the next episodes can be expected.
Yeah.
I mean, I'd say Netflix will drop probably a teaser trailer or the story trailer at PowerCon. They might aim for New York Comic Con, because they're supposed to have a big presentation there.
Oh, okay.
Netflix. They've already taken up the Javits Center's version of Hall 5, I heard.
Oh, nice.
On Saturday, since AMC is done with The Walking Dead.
Well, and who knows if we'll get anything else coming out of San Diego Comic-Con, which is online this year.
Again.
And they're planning on a special edition San Diego Comic-Con second event in November.
Yeah, right over Thanksgiving weekend.
Right. Well, and the day that the first 5 episodes drop, that happens to be on the first day of STCC. So should be very interesting.
Oh, yes. Less than 2 weeks.
Yeah, I'm super excited. And we know that stuff's coming. We know that announcements are coming because Mattel told me themselves in a recent article that I did, an interview that I had with them, that we are getting more Origins, Masters of the Universe Origins figures announcements coming soon, more reveals. They said especially with the conventions coming up. And and then of course they mentioned that they have no plans of ending or even slowing down the Origins toy line, and they announced that She-Ra figures, Princes of Power figures, are definitely on the table for Origins. That they're not being blocked by any licensing concerns.
That's great.
Yeah.
Hopefully the girls department will keep their nose out of Origins this time around. Like when they poked their nose in the 80s and took She-Ra away from Masters.
Well, who knows? We could get a whole subline, kind of like we have Masters of the WWE Universe. We could have a whole subline of Princes of Power figures, as opposed to just kind of, lumping them all in under the Masters of the Universe brand.
Well, I think it's more like we want them action figures, not dolls.
Well, yeah.
I mean, absolutely. I don't have a thing against the dolls, but we prefer our action figures. They look better.
Well, yeah.
Together.
You've got a hugely successful toy line, and the figures the parts are all interchangeable. You might as well make use of it.
Oh yeah. Any word since you talked with Mattel about the Mega Blocks? Because there's rumors flying about that Advent calendar.
I have seen the rumors. I haven't spoken to them about the Mega Construct stuff, but yeah, the rumor is that the Advent calendar for Mega Constructs is canceled. I really hope that's not true, because I mean that box of Mega Constructs is just made of joy, and we need that for this Christmas season.
I wanted the Orko.
Yeah.
I mean, I've got all of the Mega Constructs. So I'm almost done with my Battle Cat. And yes, it is big enough to hold the Origins.
Nice. Yeah, people are loving that.
And with all the purple blocks that they've been testing, especially with the Scuba Zorak, I have a feeling Snake Mountain might be in the works, because I compared them to the Snake Mountain, both the classics and the vintage, and they're very close to that shade, those perfect shades of purple.
Nice. Yeah, I have no doubt that they're going to give us Mega Constructs Snake Mountain and Origins Snake Mountain playset. Cannot wait.
Now, I want my cereal in time for the cartoon. I ordered the FYE Masters of the Universe Revelation cereal. 2 boxes.
Nice. That comes with a free Battle Cat figure.
Yes. This way, my He-Man can play with his toy Battle Cat.
There you go. We're just being flooded with merchandise right now for Revelation, especially, and I love it. I mean, talk about bringing back our childhood. We've got a lunchbox. When was the last time a lunchbox was offered to us for Masters of the Universe?
And it's a metal lunchbox.
Yeah, then you can.
I'm hoping it's embossed like it was when we were kids.
Yeah.
If any kid goes to school and a bully picks on him, you can really show him who has the power that way. It's metal, baby.
And it should be easy enough to find an appropriate thermos for it. It's just too bad that it doesn't come with one.
That bummed me out when I found that out, because I was all excited. I was going to get one and actually pour like some Chef Boyardee into it and feel like I was 5 again, And then it's like, what? Like, that's kind of an essential part of the lunchbox. You got to have the thermos, and like that was part of the thing. You when you were eating lunch, you had the lunchbox, and you could turn your thermos and look at the battle scene going on and all that. It's like, come on.
But today's lunchboxes don't come with a thermos either. I'm like, where's the coordinating cartoon theme that you're supposed to have on your table?
Yeah.
Different times, different times.
Oh, yeah.
Well, and I'm mostly excited for the Panini sticker book. I want more information about that because we saw an advertisement for a Panini sticker book, something I've wanted for years and years and years, a new Panini sticker book, because I don't want to pay eBay prices for the old stickers. And it was advertised on the Panini website, and I saw a listing for it, but very quickly it was gone. And I don't know if the sticker book is going to be offered strictly through the Panini website, which is not in English, or if it's going to be offered eventually in U.S. stores, or if, I have really no information about it yet.
No, I had to order the coloring book.
Oh, yeah. I ordered
I'm
2 of those.
I'm like, please, it's bad enough I have to wait till December. I want it now.
I
love it.
I actually know a few people that they ended up getting the store displays for Revelation figures in the last week, and that's awesome. But the thing that I think if I could get this would make me just go like, yes, like I got a heck of a grail if I could pull this off. I saw FYE has that He-Man standee where he has the sword in the air, and it's the Revelation version. But when I saw that, I was like, I need that. That's the one thing that triggered me, and like, oh my god, that would be the coolest thing to have that in the corner of my basement with all my figures around it.
Oh yeah.
Oh.
I think some of the new figures look pretty cool. We just learned that there is going to be a deluxe Faker set that's a bit pricier than the regular figures. Of course, it's going to be, I think, maybe $30, and that's going to be a
Target exclusive.
It's Target exclusive. But yeah,
it's October when it comes out
this fall. Yeah, and it's great to see that these figures are showing up both at Target and now at Walmart, and they're available on entertainmentearth.com for pre-order and Big Bad Toy Store. I'll put the links in this video's description. And yeah, it's such a huge relief that unless you're trying to really get one of those figure stands, which good luck trying to pry those out of the hands of the Walmart employees. Unless you're trying to go for those, you don't have to go to any stores. You can just pre-order them, wait for them to come in the mail, boom, you're done.
And you can even pre-order your minis too, because I pre-ordered the Skelegod and I want to say it was Whiplash, the metallic Whiplash.
Yeah, there's actually I want to say maybe at least two different versions of Whiplash. I just caught a picture of some in Singapore that looked very interesting. But yeah, there's Whiplash. There's a couple sets of Beastman on a war sled, and then there's Stridor with Fisto.
Yep.
Yeah, they look really fun, like a lot of fun. Yeah, I'll put a whole bunch of links for people to order stuff in the video description. And yeah, there's just so much. There's a new book aside from the coloring book. There's a new book that's being advertised right now that's going to be probably focused around the artwork for Masters of the Universe. Some of the Origins artwork is featured on the front of the book. That'll be really fun.
Oh.
Yeah. And just this week, we're seeing some more stuff showing up at Walmart. These plastic tiki mugs are showing up.
Yeah, it looks like they took the ceramic ones and used the same mold, but put them in plastic, which I think is a great idea, especially if you've got little ones who like beating up daddy with their sword.
Don't give them any other ideas. Oh my god. hasn't been as bad to me lately, but oh man.
So don't show him the Pixel Dan video.
At this point he's not chasing after me like he was for a little while, and I've kind of enjoyed the break, but I think the show itself is going to make him go, okay, now I'm going to be He-Man and jump off furniture and punch Daddy in the head now or something. I can just see it now. When he sees that big fist coming out of the portal and He-Man, that's going to be his like battle cry. Just boom. My wife comes home from work. What happened to you? I watched the show, but I missed most of it. Hayden punched me and knocked me out. Yeah.
But I'm like, okay, I want those cups, and then they have the 2-ounce versions of them too.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of the keychains, not just the 2 3-packs that you're seeing online, where you can get the heroes and the villains. They also have individual ones like Prince Adam's there and Man-at-Arms. I didn't see Tila. Yeah, and you can order them also online, which a lot of times the seasonal, because that's what the tiki plastic cups are marked as. But I was able to order them online, which is unusual.
It's like you can't blink. You can't blink because this stuff's gonna just be gone. You know, you have to be focused and organized and
everything I'm not able to be. That's what, like, I got my eyes on the prize. The 23rd is like, that's gonna be Christmas for me. Like I basically told people that's Christmas, Father's Day, and my birthday all rolled into one. As long as I get to watch all 5 episodes, happiest camper. Everything else, I'm fine. It's like it's there in the periphery, but right now it's like we're so close to the premiere that I'm just like, it's great that all this stuff is out there, but I'm just like, really, after this long, it's freaking time. So,
well, and my advice is, Kevin Smith's told us, okay, don't worry, guys. There's, Tila doesn't have a girlfriend. It's not all, basically saying it's not all woke like everybody's saying it's going to be. And so, my advice is honestly is to kind of stay away from social media. And I know that's weird coming from me because I have all the Facebook groups, but the social media.
That's what I had to do after the story trailer dropped, because I was getting sick of seeing all these newbies who think they know the lore saying this is this and this is this and this is this. I'm like, no.
Well,
so they swapped faces on Adrian. What? She appeared in 1, maybe 2 mini comics. Okay, no big deal. We did it with Zodak. We just changed 1 letter in his name to distinguish the 2. No big deal. Don't cry over that. Oh, they're calling Tila Man-at-Arms. Oh, she must be this. No, that is a title.
It's a title, and that's the way I looked at it too. I'm like, it didn't really rub me in the wrong way in any way, shape, or form. It was like to me, it was like, it's passing that down to the daughter of the man who was Man-at-Arms. Like
right.
Really, like it's basically like, to me, I looked at that as, we look at you the same way we looked at your father. We trusted him with our lives. You are now the next person that we trust with our life. Okay. It's simple as that. It doesn't have to turn into a political thing or whatever. And
right.
I don't know. I'd have to just say, I think there are a lot of people showing up on a lot of these groups that I honestly think are just troll accounts at this point too.
Well, sure.
I don't. There's a lot of people. I've never seen them before, and they're making all these comments, and I look at these people and I go, okay, and I just move on, because honestly, I don't care what anybody that I don't know says about this. I'm wanting to see it on my own terms, my own way, and enjoy it. Simple as that.
Yeah. I mean, they even turned around and started on, see, King Randor's belittling Adam. Excuse me, he did it in Filmation. He did it in Mike Young.
Yeah. It's part of the deal.
So yeah, there's a lot of toxic stuff, but and hey, there is a lot of legitimate discussion about the race swapping and all these different topics that have been blown out of proportion, I think, from various YouTube personalities. And one thing I want to say is, like the Revelation fans group, once the show comes out, if you decide you hate the show, that group's not for you.
That's it.
And especially, yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to have a good opinion and you can support it and be civil about it.
Sure.
And be open for discussion. And that's one thing that throughout MOTU, we've been able to have the discussions.
Mm-hmm.
But don't turn around and say, I'm right, and be the bully. And that's where I feel some of these newbies are acting.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, and it's interesting, a little behind the scenes with the Facebook stuff is there's this new thing called admin assist that Facebook is rolling out. But more importantly, there's this piece of it where you're able to decide what comments, what phrases or terms you want to eliminate from the comments, not just new posts, but from comments. So if I wanted to, I could go in and set it up so that there couldn't be no discussion about woke or, gay, homosexuality or, race swapping or any of that. Yeah. So some powerful tools are coming. That stuff's being rolled out kind of randomly. I don't know when it's going to kick in, but it's very easy for me to set up a rule that says any comment that has the word woke in it is declined.
That's it.
So, hopefully, because really, again, there's a lot of legitimate discussion going on, but a lot of that legitimate discussion turns nasty. And I even had two people messaging me saying that they're gonna sue each other. Or at least one of them was going to sue the other guy. Yeah, and he was messaging me and my moderators saying, I'm going to sue him. I called my lawyers and all this stuff. And, people are, of course, reporting each other to Facebook. It's ridiculous to see, like, this guy said something I don't like, so I'm going to report him to Facebook. And there's just so much crap going on that, again, I would say for now, everybody stay off the social media. Watch the show, enjoy it, love it, and just stay away from this toxic BS on social media. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, Masters has room for everything. In fact, today, I think it was yesterday that Scott Knight dropped his lose a lot commentary. Yeah, you can tell how I felt about that character. I quickly painted him to be the Red Knight. But he made an honest point that there's room for everything. Masters has been a mix of every kind of genre in one pot, and we make room for it.
Well, that's what it was set up to be to begin with. When
Right.
you talk to Mark Taylor and the other minds behind Masters of the Universe, they say that this was created to be something that He-Man was created to be someone who could be anything. You could be the barbarian, you could be the sci-fi, you could be like a military, like James Bond, like everything.
Right.
You can delve into any kind of flavor.
I mean, really, when we think about it, how many other franchises can you say, has a ninja, a cowboy, a couple of knights, a barbarian, a queen from another planet.
Yeah.
The list
I mean,
goes on.
there is room for everything.
Well, and Ninja Turtles was like that a little bit, and you know who helped design those toys is Mark Taylor.
Yeah.
Oh, and I've been seeing on social media the unpublished crossover that could have been all that art.
It's driving me nuts.
I
I
want
would
to print
eaten
it
that
out
up.
just so I can color it.
Yeah, that would be an amazing coloring book. Like really big sheets. I just really dig the shots of the artwork of Shredder with Skeletor, and there's a really great shot of an illustration of the Sorceress with Splinter.
With Splinter, yep.
Yeah. I don't think we've seen April O'Neil yet.
No, it hasn't come out yet.
I
Or
assume
Casey.
There you go, Casey Jones. I assume that they'll mix, and it kind of looks like they're mixing the turtles, with like we've got Michelangelo as Ram Man.
Yeah, which I love that. I was the day after Freddie Williams posted the Leonardo He-Man one, I was like, okay, if he's going down the line, and I actually was like, I bet Mikey would be Ram Man because he's got that like, he's not stupid, but he's definitely the one where they'd be like, he wouldn't be the leader for that. Like he'd want to hit things like that. Fine. And then I kept thinking, I'm like, well, in 2000X, Tila was an argumentative and kind of, rush into things kind of character because she was still young at that time. I'm like, I wonder if she's going to be Raph. And I'm like, how does that work? And then it turned out there's Raph with snake size like Tila's sword. And I'm like, oh, you went there. I was so happy to be right about that one, too.
There you go.
I wonder, is Donatello Man at Arms then?
Yeah. They already revealed.
I didn't see that
him.
one.
Yeah, he got revealed like I want to say it was like on the 4th of July actually. Yeah. He's got
I missed that one.
He's got Man at Arms maces on the top and bottom of his staffs. So
I want to know about the vehicles. Like, does this mean we would have gotten a party wagon that's like a battle ram or something like that?
That would be so cool.
Yeah.
For me, it's just those are like my two favorite franchises from my childhood, and because and it's funny because Masters was the beginning of me learning about this stuff, and Turtles was basically the tail end of my childhood because I never got into Power Rangers. I just stuck with Turtles, and then it was like, okay, I'm on to X-Men now, and I'll read comic books, and just the idea of Turtles, part of why I loved it is they just threw everything into it and it just got nuts. But I was like, that's fun. I didn't know how much I'd like this hodgepodge of stuff. And it's like, yeah, at the beginning, there was Masters doing the same thing, basically, except it wasn't quite as comedic. But otherwise, yeah, I mean, it's as crazy as it is, those two brands actually have a lot more of the creativity in common than, okay, G.I. Joe is straight, military, and Transformers, you can only be a robot that transforms into something and all that stuff. So, yeah.
Well, it's so sad that that series was canceled. I mean, I don't have the specifics about it, but yeah.
I'd like to know why. I honestly think it's the fact that DC is not publishing Masters at this point.
I'm thinking that too.
But then the other question, I'd be
Turtles is I believe IWD.
Well, it's IDW, but then on top of that, IDW they were printing some old stuff for various publishers out there. So there's a part of me that wonders maybe IDW could get this back up and running because if you look on social media, Freddie Williams' posts of these things is getting a lot of popularity among the fans, both Turtles and Masters. It's like, yeah, I mean, that's like they're leaving money on the table by not trying to figure that one out, So, I mean, and the thing is now it'd be either Mattel or Netflix, depending how they want to spin that with Masters, and Nickelodeon, because Nickelodeon is the rights holder for Turtles at the moment, from what I understood. So,
oh wow,
And if it's Nickelodeon, I believe Nickelodeon's owned by Universal, which would make it a lot easier because Universal does have the IP for most of the Masters and will be getting it all of the IP in 2023.
Well, 2 years from now, then, if nothing else. I mean, I'd just like to see the light of day, and I hope if it does happen, Freddie Williams is the guy drawing it, because looking at what he did, I don't want to see somebody else doing this. I want to see his mind on the paper drawing this, the Eternia with turtles in it, and like it warmed my heart to see the turtles wearing the furry loincloths. And they had the Master's boots on and all that. So.
Well, the classic Castle Grayskull does have that sewer.
Mm-hmm. Let's do it. I'm serious. Like, I mean, if you told me we didn't have a cartoon to look forward to, if there wasn't a show, even if they said that was coming on the horizon, that would be enough for me to go, I can't wait. That would be so cool.
Yeah.
Like, the alpha and omega of my childhood, let's do this. So.
Yeah, boy. I mean, with all the great stuff we've been seeing, it's like, what else are we going to see? What else is coming down the pike?
Well, the one thing we haven't even we touched upon it just a little bit, but the story trailer, we haven't even gone into that. What do you think of the story trailer?
God, that was a lot of fun. I mean, it just was wonderful. And, there was an interesting part in there that I'm very curious about. I keep trying to run through my head, like, what's the sequence of events, right? And there was this scene where everybody was on a boat. It was clearly in the time period in the future when, some bad stuff had already happened and everybody's older. And so they're on a boat, and Skeletor is there, and He-Man tosses, I think, Merman at him. And so he's basically beating up Skeletor like he always does. And I thought, well, if this is in the future, and the bad thing was that, Skeletor got the power and he became Skelegod, then why is he now just regular old Skeletor in the future? And it makes me wonder, like, so they said in the story trailer that Eternia, all the magic on Eternia is going away. And, if that happens, then the planet dies. And the good guys and bad guys have to come together. So, I don't know. Does this mean that Skeletor gets the power, but then something happens and basically Skeletor has to kind of team up with He-Man?
With the good guys.
Possibly. Because it could be that, if he's no longer Skelegod in the future, like, maybe that means something happened. Like if all the magic on Eternia is going away, does that mean that includes the power of Grayskull, which would mean that Skeletor would no longer have any Grayskull powers, and then they're in a situation where everybody has to just work together to try to save the planet?
Possibly, because it would be draining the star seed at the center of the planet.
Well, yeah, the source of Grayskull's power. Yeah, I mean, it kind of makes sense that they're going to have to go Captain Planet on this. But I don't know. We'll see. It's going to be very interesting. But yeah, so many amazing characters. Stinkor's in there. I'm not crazy about. Yeah, I'm not crazy about the
all
whole
the
cult.
characters.
Yeah, I'm not crazy about what they're doing with Triclops, but
when did he become a priest or a cult leader?
That's
yeah.
The thing about that, like, first off, I like that, because I like the idea that it's showing that even though he was an evil warrior, it shows he has the ability to be his own person too. Because on Filmation, he wasn't really fleshed out much. 2000X, you got him as he's the inventor for the evil warriors. and that was about it. So in this case, I kind of like the idea. Like even on 2000X, they had the episode Roboto's Gambit where he made the little skeleton warriors that would they'd multiply every time you defeated one. There two would take its place and all that. And based on that alone, I'm kind of digging the idea that he would look at this as his chance to go, look, if magic is dead, we have to rely on technology because that's the other. Those are the two sides of the coin on Eternia, really. I mean, it's always been, the great war with the technology and then also the sorcery side of things. And I kind of dig that he would take advantage of that and become like a cult leader with the idea that, the technology is going to save you and having people under that banner and all that. I actually had a big grin on my face when I saw that clip. Because I'm like, that's kind of cool. They got Triclops at least. And for anybody, it's like you also look at the cast list. You go, why would they pick some of these people to be these characters? And then when you see that, it's like, why else would they chose Henry Rollins? And there you go. Like he'd be that guy who's imparting and like, arguing his side and convincing and all that stuff. And just not being afraid of this is my side of it and I'll fight for it till the death and all. It works for me. Yeah, I mean, with the story track, it was hysterical for me because it hit right when I was trying to get my kids to their doctor appointment that day. So I'm literally on my phone while my kids are getting examined in the doctor's office, and the doctor's hearing, "I have the power," and I'm just sitting there like, yeah, I'm glad they're doing great. I'll be with you in a minute. I'm just sitting there watching this.
Yeah, give them whatever shots they need.
Exactly. Well, my son had to have shots, so I was like, wow, blah, 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 whatever. And it's like, I loved it. I love the opening because it reminded me of the '87 movie. It almost had because they were talking about the first planet and the source of magic, and almost like at the center of the universe, at the border between light and dark. I was like that was cool. It was like a nod, and then I got a kick out of the fact that some of the characters I never thought I'd ever see showing up in an animated show for Masters showed up in one moment with you got Hero, you got Vicor, and you got Grayskull having Adam's back. And I'm like, I never would have figured Vicor was even going to be in this thing. And then also Wondar showing up. And I'm just sitting there going like, this is like everything I've been wanting to see. And it's been in my headcanon since I started collecting classics because I love Wondar. He's one of my favorite off the beaten path characters. And Vicor became a favorite too. So I'm like, oh my God, I can't wait to see what they do with these guys.
Mm-hmm. It's amazing. I mean, Eternia, Preternia. I mean, all the new characters. Kevin Smith's showing us that he's got a lot more under his sleeve than we thought he did. So
Well, getting to see you have the Eternia playset in that, like one of the opening shots, and then for me being a fan of the mini comic canon and the dual power swords. When the minute they showed He-Man break the sword in two, I sitting there in the doctor's office and I go, they did it. I literally I was like, they went there, and I was so happy because that was one of my biggest frustrations with Filmation when I was a kid was I really wanted to see a storyline with that because it was told to you in the mini comics. And it's like, well, that's kind of what you told me, and you didn't go anywhere with that in the show. And the fact that this is the spirit of it, so they're finally going there, and it might not be exactly the way that my headcanon worked out, but I'm very genuinely interested to see what they do with it because obviously my headcanon won't go the lengths that theirs is because of the Revelation book. Even there's a lot to do with that I would have never thought of for the headcanon. So yeah, I was already excited, and then once I saw that, I was like, oh man, July 23rd, like come on, get here, like I want to watch it when I get home. I was mad at Netflix. I went home and I was turning on Netflix. I'm like, why aren't you on now? Come on.
Well, my prediction for the show is, at least how I would do it, is it seems like
Sorry.
they need to introduce.
What are you breaking your tiki glass?
I'm walking around pacing because I want Netflix to show this now, and I accidentally knocked into stuff. What else is new?
So yeah, I would definitely introduce a bigger bad guy in the later 5 episodes of this series, being Hordak. And as far as what's draining the planet of all the magic, I mean, to me, it seems pretty obvious that it's going to be the Magic Stealer from the mini comics and the that one book.
Unnamed one.
Oh, I mean, Gorpo, like that evil Orko guy. No.
That I gotta say, that was the one thing in the Revelation book that made it was my tripping up moment when they show Grayskull forging the sword, and you see Trollins behind him. I was like, oh, you're gonna do this now? Like, I really am not a huge fan of that classics canon with everything is drawn from Trala. I like the idea of Orko being this oddity that comes over, and he doesn't fit in Eternia, but he stays because he can help.
Sure.
And I like that angle because it makes him a more interesting character because he is a unique character in that way versus everything coming from Trala automatically just makes me roll my eyes going like, I didn't like Trala enough when I was a kid. Why are you forcing it on me at 40? It's not working for me now either. Mm-hmm. So I'm crossing my fingers that it's not going to be the unnamed one. Or if the unnamed one shows up, it's a different take on the unnamed one, maybe.
Hopefully.
Yeah, we'll see.
I mean, come on. We're seeing a lot of our toys that never made it into the shows or into the comics, besides the mini comics, or even appearing.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
They're going deep.
Yeah. Like the Vicor deal and the fact that we knew Hero was even going to be on the show ever since like February. I mean, I'm just impressed that they're going to those lengths in this story. And I like that they obviously with the story, they tried to think of what haven't they seen yet? Because that's also a draw for me is show me something I haven't gotten to watch before 50 times or 100 times. And when you start bringing in these characters that were, like fringe characters because they weren't really on the original show or even released as figures, that's cool. It's honoring something we never got to have as kids, and it makes you feel like a kid again. So
yeah,
I think we're in for a wild ride with this show, and and there's going to be a lot of new people in the MOTU fan community from this, as there already is, with all the toys and the new series. But for us longtime fans, it's just going to be a huge treat, and I'm sure that we won't let the controversies drummed up by social media get in the way.
Nope. Otherwise, we'll have to create our own version just to please those social media. See, we told you so. I saw a few posts where people have been doing that thing, and this post has been brought to you by XYZ.
Yeah. The ones that I love are the ones who flat out say, well, He-Man's not going to be hardly in the show. And then they're saying, well, Teela's going to be the main character. And then I usually, if I decide to comment, because half the time I'm like, I'm not even going to do this. But then if I do, it's usually well, I'm glad that you got to go into the future and see it because share with us what you saw. No one else got a chance and nobody responded back. And it's like, yeah, you don't know. Don't even bother. Like, watch it. The 23rd. We all get to watch it then. We're good to go after that point.
I've
that, or I turn around when I see that. I said, well, at least we're not seeing her butt. That was sequence 23 from Filmation. It was in almost every episode. Her jumping down so we can get the butt.
I really hope that they put that once in this series. Just that one shot. Just because it's so iconic. It's just so expected from the original show. Yeah.
I want it more than once. I'm just gonna put it on record.
Well,
I can't help it.
It would be so funny if they did that with another character instead of her. Like, I don't know, it could be Andra or it could be Evelyn or whoever. But yeah, that'd be a funny nod to that.
Yeah.
Or maybe if it was just one of the guys, like Fisto or whoever, I don't know.
Well, I didn't have as much interest when He-Man showed up like that over when Teela did it. I'll tell you that much. Even as a kid, I knew what that was about. It worked for me. I didn't know exactly the details, but I was just like, when she does that, I somehow don't want to look away. But when He-Man does it, I'm like, okay, he showed up. That's great. I'm glad he's here to save the day. Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Oh, that sequence was used quite a lot. Because I remember when I was at one Filmation panel, they all knew that sequence number. I believe it's 23. I know James Eacock will probably correct me if I'm wrong. So I'm surprised they didn't call it 69.
Well, it was a kids. It's a family show. It's a family show. But anyway.
But trust me, people did not know the sequence numbers when we were growing up. Only the creators did.
Yeah, and then they can have a little laugh every afternoon. Yeah. Oh, man.
So we just got some new Masters of the Universe news. But first, I wanted to mention that I have spoken with people who have seen the first 5 episodes of the show. And they haven't revealed any details to me because they're not allowed to. Just that they said that it is magical, it is amazing, that everybody's got it pegged wrong, and everyone's going to enjoy it.
Well, I'm liking that because another reason I can't wait for the 23rd is I just can't wait to have everybody watch it, and then they go, oh, I guess that stuff that was talked about was just people just wanting to talk crap, and hopefully we don't get much of that after that point, but there are still 5 episodes left. Who knows? But yeah,
and who knows?
I'm
hoping it's picked up for a second season already, and I haven't even seen it.
What I liked is there has been. I know there was an interview with Kevin Smith where he said he has ideas that he would love to do if they wanted to do a second one, and Ted Biaselli from Netflix has actually. He said that there is like a character or two that specifically they were interested in highlighting if they got a second season on it. So based on that, I'm like, there are people there that it's the whole they got a little like a savings account worth of these ideas, and I'm like, that's awesome. I like that this isn't them just going, okay, 10 episodes and we're here and we're done. And then we're out, and it's like, no, they seem like they had enough fun. They want to keep that spirit alive. And I'd be happy if they did 10 more, in another year or two, if possible.
Absolutely. I bet Netflix is just waiting to see the numbers.
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, toy-wise, I know the Revelations figures are flying off the shelf very quickly.
Well, yeah, the display stands are gone. There's people just grabbing the display stands full of the figures and running for the cash register. But
yeah, I'll buy all the figures so I can get the stand.
Exactly. But I mean, like everybody goes back to the Powerhouse did Castlevania. Well, Castlevania has had multiple seasons. So, it's like between the story that invested people that were enjoying it, plus the animation, that thing, and they're making another spin-off series now that Netflix is doing on top of that. So it's like, if that has managed to sustain, and Castlevania is a very niche thing compared to even, because that wasn't something where as a kid I would have been like, oh, I'm going to watch Castlevania or something. It wasn't on TV. Simon Belmont was on Captain N.
It was only a video game.
It was the video games, and Simon Belmont was a character on Captain N. And when I was a kid, that was it. Like, it wasn't like that. But that managed to do it. So it's like, well, He-Man's got a little more cred than just that even. So cross fingers, this goes over well, and maybe they will think of 2-3 seasons maybe. I mean, how cool would that be? Like, getting to see these guys back on the screen again like that. I mean, jeez.
It would be a Herculean effort to get that many celebrities, back together for a second season. But I'm not saying it's impossible. It's that would be incredible if they could pull off a second season.
Well, and the other thing too is, I mean, it's like go big or go home for the first one. Open it up where you're blowing the roof off the joint to make people want more. And then the second season, you don't have to have as many people showing up maybe, but you can have a very focused story about whatever they're thinking of for the second season that doesn't need everything. Because it seems like this one is like every character gets a chance in this right now. And that's awesome, but I'm not expecting that if they continue. Yeah, it's very much like it's like I feel like I got grabbed by the scruff of the neck and thrown into my toy box when I was 5, and I'm like playing with figures to get my way out with how the roster of this thing is. But if it goes to a second season, I'm not going to sit there and complain, oh, Triclops didn't get any screen time this time. It's like that maybe the story they want to tell next time isn't going to be quite as huge. Maybe it's more of a personal story, or maybe a more insular story or something. I don't know. If this goes well, I'm more than happy to see what they cook up for another one. It all comes down to that for me every time. So.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
So we just got some really brand new news about the campaign for the Masters of the Universe Fields of Eternia board game. That's going to have a campaign not on Kickstarter but on GameFound.com, and they're showing us a new miniature that you can get as a free bonus if you pledge within the first 48 hours, and that's a miniature of Orko.
Oh, when does that campaign start?
Well, the campaign launches, it says right now, 16 days and 9 hours.
So they're launching around the same time as
the show.
Masters.
Right.
Yep. They planned on maybe I'm glad that San Diego Comic-Con is virtual.
Yeah. Well, I wonder how long we'll... Yeah.
Because all of us would be in our hotel rooms with our Netflix. We'll be over there as soon as this is done.
Right. I wonder how long we'll have to wait to actually get the board game in hand. It looks beautiful. Of course, remember, this is Fields of Eternia, not the other board game, and so this one is basically for European Masters fans. It's not going to be offered in the US.
Oh, okay, that's. I always get the two mixed up because for the first time we can't get something that only Europe can. It's like, okay, who do I know over there?
Yeah.
Oh, you know some people, I'm sure. I mean, you know the community. I could think of a certain one who he's going to have a unofficial book coming out really soon. Starts with a J, I mean.
Now let's not.
I know quite a few with a J that's over there.
Now
let's not drive everybody to flood their inboxes.
Yeah.
With requests,
that's true. That's true.
I really would hope
right. The one with the J that you're thinking of, his inbox is already getting flooded with people pre-ordering his book.
As he should.
I wonder if some small board game stores in the U.S. could take it upon themselves to order these so they could offer them here, but I don't know.
I think what I read on that was that it can't be shipped to the U.S., so you have to have someone over there buy it and then ship it as if it's a personal package.
Right, yeah.
I mean, there's ways around everything.
Sure.
Because I know
Solo and Chewie smuggling it.
Come out. It might be good for something.
Yeah. So the news rolls on. The barrage of MOTU news is ongoing, and yeah, I'm loving every minute of it.
And it's probably going to only heat up more leading up to the 23rd, and then you'll get all the reviews from like the major outlets leading up to the 23rd, I'm sure as well. Yeah. Oh my god.
Should be an interesting couple weeks coming up.
It's the weirdest feeling to go like, when I joined the podcast, it was literally like us talking about like the mini comics or us talking about this or that, or we were interviewing people involved in the brand, but the excitement wasn't there for the new stuff like it is right now. And it's like I almost feel like it's Oscar night or something, like there's that feeling of, it's like I gotta this is my thing, like, and I want everybody to love it just as much as I do, so hey, I want you to enjoy it as well, and getting everybody into the Masters mood, I mean, it is a good feeling.
It is. I mean, I haven't been this psyched in a long time, probably since Classics ended, because we used to, on the podcast, talk about each figure, detail on the bios, see how we can make fun of Matty Collector, or do we really want to take Scott to Subway? He might try and convince us to buy a sub. But I mean, those were good times, but this is like cranked up big time.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's credibility. It's the whole, like, one of the biggest streaming service is about to air something that we know and love ever since 1982, 1983, and it's like it's been dormant, and people have done YouTube videos to make fun of things. The meow thing has been a thing, which that I don't like that personally.
I don't get no.
Nobody, yeah, and it's like all these things, and it was like, poke fun at it because it was of its time, and it's getting a resurgence, and people aren't making fun of it anymore. It's like when I was a kid, I would read X-Men comic books, like I said earlier, and then when the X-Men movies hit, I was sitting there in the theater going, I knew this stuff. Like I've been doing this for since 1991 and even before that. And now you people are understanding why I love it. And here I am doing it again with Masters, and the Marvel movies and stuff. And it's like, there's good stuff in here. You just gotta give it a second, enjoy it. So this is near and dear to me. It more than even those in that way, where it's like the excitement's even more for this hitting, and hopefully a lot of good reviews and goodwill are coming back to the brand too in that way.
And it's even popping up in areas where you don't expect it. Like I was watching Baby Boss 2, and I'm like, at first I'm like, wait, is that Baker's sword I'm seeing on the floor?
Yeah.
And it winds up that it was He-Man's arm, Baker's sword, Castle Grayskull. I'm like, okay, Sony, you know what they are. When are you coming out with the live action?
They did that in the first one. Yeah, I mean, they did that in the first one. They had when they did a shot through the kid's bedroom, Skeletor was hanging from like a wire. They had him like he was almost like Trapjaw, where he was like sliding across this wire in his room, and I'm like, look at that! And even my kids pointed it out to me when they watched it because they know how much I love He-Man. They're like, Skeletor every time, and I'm like, nice. That's just cool. Like I enjoy that. It's great.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, okay, and then I'm seeing all the Revelations fakers. I'm like, ooh, even better.
Yeah, I got to admit that Revelation Faker, when they revealed it, that knocked me on my butt, because I never thought that color scheme would work on He-Man until I saw that, and I'm like, oh my god, that's cool. because for the first time it's He-Man, it's not a blue version, and when you see all that, it's like, and then also on top of that you get the multiple heads, so you can display them how you want. And for the people that they get the Revelation He-Man and they're not happy that he's smiling, which I'm 50-50 on that myself when I finally get the figure and see it. Well, I like him smiling, but I like that they have more of like a stern face for the faker face. So that one might be my He-Man head for him then when I get that one, because I was like, there's no way I'm not getting the faker. That looks freaking great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that, I mean, I'm not crazy about a lot of the figures, but that one I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely getting that one. And
I hate to say the deluxe figures for the line, I'm really liking so far.
yeah.
I did see somebody in a group as well that they took the Skelegod head and put it on the Revelation Skeletor body.
Mm-hmm.
And also the wrist bracers, the black wrist bracers. And I actually might pose mine like that. I thought it was awesome looking. I was like, man, Skelegod is cool, but like seeing Skeletor looking like that, it's almost like a tribute to the '87 movie, just having him be a normal height and doing that, you know. So yeah, whatever floats your boat. It's the beauty of the line.
And I can't wait to see the pictures of Wave 2, which they've announced, where we're getting Teela, for those who kept wondering.
Yeah.
Because I know those pre-orders are up already.
Yeah, and it's interesting to see on the pre-order listings, you'll see like classic, modern, you know. And I'm taking that to meaning like, okay, so like for instance, Teela, if it's the modern Teela, then that means mercenary Teela in the future versus when she first appears in the show in her classic costume.
Yeah.
Yeah, closer to her classic, I was gonna say.
Yeah. But at the moment, we're pre-ordering blind, basically, for the second wave. There haven't been any photos yet. But you can catch it.
Right around the corner. I was just gonna say, you know, with both PowerCon and
can we get that Amazon intern who leaked the Ular? He was wonderful.
You know what? That actually brings up things, because there were people that were thinking maybe that is a King Grayskull or something, or the Ular, but you know, maybe they go there. Now that we know what King Grayskull is going to be, it's like, okay, so maybe that is that's one of those puzzle pieces that's like, it's starting to make a little more sense now with what we've learned in the last week. So,
or maybe it's just to throw us off.
Well, then I'm just gonna be like, well, I'm gonna post a clickbait video for the heck of it, you know?
Yeah. Well, because I remember there was the interview that was done for one of the designers. I don't know why I'm spacing on his name right now. The interview that Ruben, where he showcased the giant Shogun Skeletor toy, this big, huge, expensive toy that was on Mattel Creations. And somebody pointed out that in the background on the shelf was a Masterverse figure that we haven't seen yet. And as I recall, his legs were partly cybernetic, like they were like cyborg legs, kind of like you would see with Colossus on the X-Men, I guess. And I don't know. Yeah, it's very interesting that maybe that's a prototype that they decided not to use. Maybe it's something from the story. I don't know.
Or something that they were still working on.
Yeah. Well, and so one thing I want to mention is with the Masterverse toy line, the Masterverse toy line is not focused solely on the Revelation animated series. The first figures that are coming out of the line are from the series, but Mattel has said that those aren't the only figures we're going to get. So that's why on Facebook we have a separate Masterverse group and a Revelation group, right? If the toy line was just about Revelation, sure, there would just be a Revelation group. So yeah, just wanted to throw that out there. Yeah, catch all the latest news. Yeah.
I have a feeling the Masterverse line is going to be like the Marvel Legends, where it's going to have set groups saying, okay, like the Black Widow SKU is out finally, and some of the Shang-Chi is out. So this could be just the Revelation SKU that we're seeing right now. We might see a classic SKU or something else coming down.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see how they handle that, because if they're going to give us figures from other stuff, given that we've already collected the classics toy line, are they going to reuse a lot of the molds from classics and then just give them the same articulated double, elbow joints and whatnot from Masterverse, or is this going to be completely new sculpting? I know this is all being done in-house.
I'd say it'd have to be completely new sculpts because of the 30 points of articulation and getting the new articulation to fit the sculpts, especially with the double elbows.
And so, we've got a lot of MOTU fans that are wanting reissues of the classics figures. Is that ever going to happen, or are we stuck with just the whatever they give us for Masterverse? All this newly sculpted stuff.
Yeah, that was with PowerCon when they did the whole "we've heard you" wanting classics back and all that stuff, and then it's like, and then we're going to give you this, and it's like, what? there was very much like and that silhouette had me going like, wow, what could that be? Then when I see what it really is, I'm like, it's not bad, but I was kind of leaning more towards like if they were doing a Mondo figure but in the classic scale, and then now that we see what it is, it's like, all right, so where are you going with this? Is there going to be maybe more detail on certain figures the more they get into this and stuff? Because it's very much, it reminds me of Club Grayskull for classics, because there is a certain amount of like, it's cartoon centric. Mm-hmm. And I'm personally of the classics mentality where I want to see the detail, and I don't need it to be cartoon centric. I'd like it to be more, I want to see a take on He-Man and Skeletor and all the other characters that doesn't have to look cartoony. Just give me a really detailed, cool version of them, and so maybe that's coming up as the line gets deeper and deeper.
Well, that's why I figured they might be using Hasbro Marvel Legends as the blueprint. Mm-hmm. And if they follow it, every subgroup has a different SKU, which allows more variety into the stores. And with tie-ins to at least Hasbro Legends, they always have a tie-in to a current MCU project.
Yeah.
So they can say, here's the Loki product for this foot of the planogram. Here is Black Widow, and they don't have the same SKU.
Yeah.
Which makes ordering a little easier.
And even McFarlane with DC is doing that, where they'll have like the death metal wave and all that stuff now, and all that. But yeah, we'll have to see, because I mean, it's just coming out. People are getting excited over it too, and I'm just curious the depths of this, because like Origins is showing they're going to some stuff that you wouldn't, like the Lords of Power set. Like, who would have figured that would have been part of that? Not many, probably, and there it is. So, or even the Rise of Evil one. It's like, okay, now we got a Keldor as an Origins figure. Go figure. No pun intended.
I still want my Prince Keldor from the multiverse.
Yeah, when's that happening anyway? I mean, that feels like forever and a day that they did the voting on that.
Yeah, the Triclops is supposed to be coming out in the mini comic colors. It won the contest.
Yep.
Well, as I recall, it takes what was it, like 2 years to
That's right,
plan
2
and,
years.
to make a
That's right, 2
plan and,
years.
to make a toy after it's been conceptualized, something like
Yeah,
that.
but that one, remember, is a straight repaint of
True.
Triclops we already
Pretty much.
have.
Yeah.
So it's just the deco, so that's about a year.
Mhm.
And a year pretty much has passed.
Well, San Diego Comic-Con's right around the corner. You never know.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the exclusive.
Well, will they do an exclusive, or because it's online, will they choose to take the exclusive and make it a Target exclusive rather than
Or
a
they can
convention
turn around,
exclusive?
they could turn around and say, okay, yes, it was supposed to be an exclusive for San Diego. We'll put it on our Mattel Creations.
Mm-hmm.
Well, okay, so there was another announcement. Well, there was a teaser that was shared where it said that basically something really big is coming to the Mattel Creations website for both WWE and for Masters of the Universe. That something big is happening. And so I'm very interested to know what that's going to be. I mean, some people are saying that they're going to turn it into a MattyCollector.com. I'm leaning more towards, a campaign, kind of a Kickstarter campaign for some big playset, maybe for an Eternia, like 1/3 of an Eternia, or I don't know, so, something along those lines.
Yeah, probably closer to the Hasbro Pulse, where it is the Kickstarter. Because
Exactly.
I'm sure Mattel learned their lessons from Castle Grayskull with not taking deposits.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, way back in the classics toy line. Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see what happens. I mean, I'm sure nothing but good things are coming. And yeah, just everybody enjoy.
Oh yes, I'm doing my happy joy dance already. I'd like to thank you for joining us. Remember to get all your up-to-date news on Masters of the Universe on all the different Facebook groups hosted by adultcollector.org. Till next time, good journey.
And this is David Clark, owner of adultcollector.org. I encourage everybody to check out the Revelation fans group and the Masterverse fans group on Facebook. And another wonderful discussion. Hope everybody has a wonderful weekend and that everybody enjoys the new show. And until next time, good journey.
And this is Sean Scavarna, and if you haven't had enough Masters talk, feel free to drop over at Legends of Grayskull podcast. Matthew Duch and I talk about all things Masters as well over there. So when the cartoon hits, you're going to get a double whammy of me. You're going to be so sick of me. Anyway, thanks again for having me on, guys. I appreciate it. And until next time, good journey.